Reverend Dr. Courtney Bryant, the CEO of One Spirit. And we've got some good conversation today. Rev Courtney, we're right in the heart of our recruitment and admissions season. And more and more, when I'm having discernment calls with people, they seem to know what we mean by the word call, like to discern a call or to feel called to ministry or to service or something like that. But I wonder, um, for those that don't quite have that language, for folks who did not have a religious upbringing or ever consider themselves to be a candidate for professional ministry of any kind, how might they discern what we're talking about as a call? What are we talking about?
Mm-hmm. I believe that a call, spiritual or otherwise, is an assignment or a responsibility that one feels attracted to or compelled to engage in. And I think compelled might be a good word. And it's interesting because I don't think that spirit makes us do anything, but this compelling feeling it's an attraction essentially, but an attraction where you are not comfortable unless you investigate and engage in said attraction. So it's not the kind of attraction where you can do a drive by like, oh, sure,
Right.
he was cute, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that, but more so I must investigate this. I must find out, what's at the bottom of this thing. And so often I find people's calls tend to be intricately connected to the people that they are, right? The gifts they have, the talents they have, the desires they have, the interests that they have. Because I truly believe no one's called to drudgery, right? Or sacrifice. Like, it's not like, I'm going to answer this call and my life is going to be so horrific, like the Desert Fathers. We're not going into the desert and fasting for 40 days and eating locusts.
My goodness.
Sometimes. But it's the thing that makes you come alive. It's the thing I love. I've been quoting her a lot this summer. It's the thing that the Reverend Dr. Katie Cannon said, the thing that your soul must have, the work that your soul must have. And I feel like we get to do a lot of that here at One Spirit. Every day we get to come in and figure out how can we share these lessons, spiritual wisdom, with the world, and how can we create a place where they can ask spiritual questions without having to be beaten up by dogma or doctrine.
So you described it in a way that I definitely resonate with when you're talking about a compelling attraction. And I wonder if you could talk about that part that feels confusing. Some people call it the dark night of the soul, but that feeling of wrestling, Can you talk a little bit more about that, the discomfortable?
It's very uncomfortable, I think. And, you have to interrogate your own sense of call, I think, to get a clarity about that wrestle. For me, I was at a great job. I was making great money. I was young, footloose, and fancy free. And I was speaking before a lot of people on a particular topic. I don't want to name what that was. It's not a big deal. But every time I got up in front of people, I kept wanting to talk about spirituality. And it was very strange because I had longed for the job that I had. I was so excited when I got it. And then about 2.5 years in, it was still good, but it wasn't enough. And I think that's the wrestle. Like, I'm here. I'm in a scenario or a situation that I've always thrived in. I've always been happy, or maybe not, but like comfortable, if you will. I'm in my bag. And then all of a sudden it just feels like not enough, or like there is something more, some piece that is calling to me in the yonder that I have to try and find. I'm interested in what it looked like for you.
Oh, wow. Okay. So at the time, One Spirit was putting out these ads in the Science of Mind magazine that Centers for Spiritual Living published. And I had been visiting a Center for Spiritual Living church, but I wasn't really of the philosophy. There was just a minister who was really speaking to a group of friends when we would all kind of show up at the Wednesday night service together. Anywho, so I'm looking through the magazine and I come across this ad, and there's no read, no hook or anything while I'm consciously reading this. But when I was asleep, that thing would not leave me alone. And I mean, it was like the ad, that flat image became animated and was like a screensaver bouncing around the screen of my mind. Like I could just see it. When I closed my eyes, all I saw was that ad.
Oh,
And I was like, why
wow.
is seminary so close to me? Why is that a thing?
Mm.
Especially since I practice my spirituality is our sangha is a completely lay organization, so it's not as if as part of my faith
You
clergy was a
need to be.
particular right.
Mm. Mhm.
So it was
That's
really interesting to, and then I wrestled a lot because I didn't get why I wrestled once felt like it was for me, as I did eventually call and talk to someone. And it still took me like a month to apply. I just couldn't
mhm.
wrap my hands around, why am I doing this? I know I'm not going to be a minister.
For you, what was the like, how did you perceive the difference? You say that you were in this community, or your sangha was all lay folks, and
Hmm.
there was not this need to
Hmm.
become a minister. What's the difference for you? Like, from being in that lay community and feeling a sense of call. Is there a difference?
Well, I just think that, but when I was in church, that was a clear path to closer to Godness, right? Was like you
Mm,
go to seminary because you want to get closer to God, you want to help other people be closer to God, you want to really study and know and be steeped in that language and know how to rightly divide the word of truth. And so, it made sense to me that I could advance, so to speak, in my faith by going through to seminary. But then um, when I joined the Buddhist organization and clergy wasn't a thing there, it was
mhm.
kind of like, well, what am I going for again? But the truth was that what I most wanted was very selfish. I just wanted to be in a conversation about spiritual things without feeling like I was going on too long. That's really
Mm,
what I wanted, was to feel
mhm.
like there were other people around me for whom this was like one of the most exciting topics they could delve into. And we wouldn't be considered strange for wanting more of that they would actually set the stage for conversations
Yes.
like that.
I love that. What's interesting about what we've both said is the presence of that need or that desire for
Yes.
more. The other
Compelling.
thing,
Yes.
right? The other thing that I think is interesting, um, oh man, is that sense of call. For me, it's assignment and responsibility. And for you, the call is, or was, an opportunity to get closer to the divine, an opportunity
Yeah.
to study more deeply. And that too is a valid sense of call, a call to to greater depth.
Yeah.
And I think that might be something that I would have missed had we not been in conversation today.
Yes, and I think it's something that also we were talking about this a little earlier. Does it change?
Mm,
Does your call shift?
mhm.
You have musings about shifting calls?
I do. And, I want to say that this is specifically my experience. And I'm sure that there are diverse experiences as it pertains to call and huge pivots. But for me, what I have come to the conclusion of is that the call has not changed.
Mm.
For me, I am called to instigate, I am called to
Mhm.
encourage and exhort people to a different kind of, I'm gonna even say, spirituality, and that
Mm.
spirituality is it's a spirituality that moves beyond the theoretical to the practical, to the how might we live. So, in light of what we believe, or in light of the spiritual people we want to be, how might we live?
Yeah.
And as well as a call to pull together all of these various people
Mhm.
who have a sense of the divine, want to participate in the sacred, in sacred service, in practice, in community, and really rally them together for the work of preserving the dignity of all life. I feel
Mhm.
like this is the core of my call. And I've seen different iterations of this call in me since I was 5 years old.
Wow.
I don't think that the call that lives in me now as one of the leaders at One Spirit um, Learning Alliance is any different from the call to teach people in the university setting and make
Hmm.
sure that they are clear on the invisible uh, traces of power and how that is everywhere in the world, from our economics to our churches and temples
Hmm.
and what have you. Um, it's the same call when I was younger and writing and talking, and it's always about reconciliation. And I used to think it was a bad word, but I think it's more about integrating the parts of the whole. And so, one of the things that I love at One Spirit is how we're able to bring our own unique calls, our own unique gifts, and they find a sense of synergy, right? Um, and all of this, I think, is what is the word I'm looking for? It's not developing, it's unfolding. And it's just bringing me more in touch with who I've always been. Does that make any sense?
Hmm.
Yeah. The call, I think, puts you deeper in touch with who you've always been.
Yeah. And I think that so much of like what unlocks the key to really being able to become that is that key that feels like it's in my hand every time I feel called to a deeper yes, is that willingness.
Yes.
That the need to be willing, even like I might not be willing for the whole thing. Earlier you said something about um we feel sometimes, or we fear that we might be called into some sacrifice.
Yes.
And even as far as I've come in this uh, realm of surrender and wrestling and grappling and eventually saying yes, I still wrestle. And when I'm wrestling with the sense of sacrifice and I feel like I'm caught in that, what unhooks me is something I did pick up from A Course in Miracles, and that is being willing to be willing.
Say more
And
about that. Yeah. Talk about that posture.
that it is, you know how sometimes you would be playing as a little kid and you might get into a little disagreement or something. You say, "I want you to be on my side. How
Yeah.
come you're not on my side? Take my side."
Mm,
And willingness is like the willingness to side with something. I'm not in total agreement yet, but I'm willing to side with you that it's possible that
mm.
there's more of me
Yeah.
on the other side of this decision, that
Yeah.
I'm going to
Mm,
be impacted positively by this decision. And
yeah.
so that to me is willing to be willing. Willing is like, yes, I'm in, send me, I'm ready. And
Yeah.
willing to be willing is like, I'm considering it deeply. My heart is
Yes.
open. I'm thinking
Yes.
about it. I want to know for sure. And so these are the kinds of conversations that we've been having in our info sessions. But as you know, we're getting ready to take a different turn with that
Mhm,
and offer a different format. You want to
mhm.
say more about what we've got coming up on August 15th?
I do, and it's gonna tie into willing to be willing,
Mm-hmm.
because, a lot of what you said actually really resonated with me. For me, willing to be willing is exactly that, like, "Oh, I don't necessarily agree with this, but I'm willing to be convinced. I'm willing to
Mm-hmm.
listen enough that I could change my mind. In fact, I'm willing to listen enough to the point where if I find merit in something and I'm looking for it,
Yeah.
I'm willing to change my mind." And I feel like that's what happened with this lecture here. In
Mm-hmm.
our busyness, you were like, "Yeah, we should do this lecture," and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna be willing to be willing." I'm not quite there yet, in the sense of I'm not sure. No, I am sure. I am sure. Um, but this this conversation, and I think that we said it's going to be a lecture kind of workshop, will simply be an opportunity for us to dive a little deeper into the process of discernment around a call, right? And what we will be doing is we will be offering up our own experiences with our own sense of call, but we're also going to be digging a little bit more deeply into concepts like willing to be willing and what to do to figure out what exactly am I being called to? How do I listen for that call? How do I create a spiritual posture within myself so that I might be willing to be willing? What are the things that I'm afraid of and that are going to stop me from being willing? And can I explore them? We know nothing's truly safe, but in a group of people who are also asking the same questions. And I think that we get to do it in this really cool space because I'm a pastor, you're a Buddhist humanist. We've got all of these people from these various vantage points of spirituality. And I absolutely love what happens when we rub our spiritualities together to figure out, well, like, hold on a second. Yeah, I got a little bit of that in my tradition. Or you too? Wait, you're asking that same question too? Well, how did you come up with that? Because I think that it's those universal principles that are going to allow us to live a kind of liberated spirituality that so many of us have been longing for.
And I agree with you. And the thing that comes to my mind is how many of us question or identified with the kind of spirituality that is like God outside of us. If God is inside, or if God is nature, or if God is something that doesn't feel externalized in the way that would be like personified or embodied, then what does a call even mean? Is it a voice I'm listening for? Is it an emotional pull? Is it intellectual? Is it like, where do you sense it? And how do you answer something that is like nonverbal communication? And it's not like, for me, it was easy to imagine um, the call because I had read about John the Baptist baptizing Jesus and the dove coming and that whole symbolic experience of this is my son in whom I'm well pleased, that obvious putting in position, right? Putting into position. And so I had a sense of like being called out from among, right, from reading the Bible. But I wonder what that's like for animists. I wonder what that's like for others. And my suspicion, Rev. Dr. Courtney, is that it is very much the same sensation.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. What I'll also
Is that you ringing?
It is. So sorry about that.
No
I need to
worries.
put myself on Do Not Disturb. What I'll also say as you were talking is that the call also blesses the called, I think. And I know I'm using super Christian language, but that's my native tongue. One of the things that is so amazing to me is answering the call to be the CEO of One Spirit Learning Alliance has so deepened what I thought was already a profound spirituality. And I was afraid to answer that call because of the difference, right? And what I didn't know. But I'm so glad that I had the courage to answer the call and take the job because it hasn't changed what I believe. It's deepened it and it's given me deeper strategies for practicing it.
Yeah.
And so that the blessing of the call is also something that we should definitely touch on in our lecture.
Yes, I agree because there is, I don't know if there's a more blessed life than being on your path. And I think ultimately that's what we're talking about here is not some other version of us, but really a truer version of ourselves. And something about like taking those vows, even just to be willing, a vow to be willing, even maybe not even a call to service yet, but just the willingness. That and it doesn't just bless at the end is what I'm getting to. It blesses all
Yes.
along the way.
Throughout the whole thing.
Oh,
Yes.
it's good over here. Yes, yes. And
Absolutely.
so these are the kinds of conversations that we're having. We're welcoming questions before, during, and after that lecture. We do have the opportunities for individual and group discernment calls for people who are wondering right now, is that what I'm feeling? That pull inside, or that thing that keeps catching my attention won't quite leave me alone, that doesn't quite make sense for the story I've been telling myself about who I am or the season of life I'm in, because sometimes those disturbances are bringing about a big transformation. And so you're not alone, and we're happy to walk with you, whether you end up enrolling or not. This is part of how we want to serve the community of folks, especially those who are spiritual but not religious, for whom this is one of the few opportunities to really receive in-depth spiritual training. And the good news is that ours is interspiritual in nature. And so you really don't have to exclude any path or any group of people. That our applied interspiritual programs are for everyone, even those who aren't even sure that they're being called. So reach out at onespirit.org and find out more information. And we're looking forward to receiving you in the near future. Rev. Dr. Courtney, I would love for you to have the last word. For anyone who's watching now or in the future, might
For
look
anyone
this up
who's
and see.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. For anybody who is wrestling, for anyone who is feeling uncomfortable or feeling as though their life is a little too confined and there's more on the other side, I say listen to your heart, press in,
Yes.
find out what it is that your soul must have, and I promise
Mm.
you, the days will be so sweet and fulfilling. Don't get me wrong, they hard. But
Hard
they're
and
also
sweet.
hard and sweet. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. This has been delightful. I know that you're so busy CEOing, but I thank you for taking the time out for this.
I love it.
And I know we're gonna have a blast on August 15th, and we
Indeed.
hope to see many of you there. That's August 15th, 10:30 to 12, and we'll be talking more about this call stuff, this willingness. And till next time, thank you all.
Thanks